Right, we're going to have a look at the search. Now, we've already done the add new users, so what I'm going to do in the search here, the user is in essence going to enter a username and a password. I'm going to click login, and I'm going to search through the file to see if I find that username. When I do find that username, I'm then going to check the password to see if it matches. Now, if I have a look at the file, which I've already set up to open up in Notepad, I'm going to compare the username against the first 10 characters trimmed off, so to get rid of those. So in essence, it'll give me those, and I'm going to say from 1 to position 10. 1 and 10 characters. If that matches, then fine. If not, go to the next record, get 10 characters, trim it down, and does that match what I've entered into the form? And if it does, then I'm going to say, right, from position 11, 10 characters, trim it off, and see if that equals txt pass. Right? And that's how the search works. So let's just set up a few things. Now you can go a little bit later on in the coding and find this, all the code, but I'll hopefully say some useful things as we go through here. So I'm just setting up the system.io just to read, and notice there I'm using the stream reader because I'm reading from the file. It's called users.dat, and I'm going to be using true at the end. Now then, users.dat, I just want to make a note, make sure it's the same file name, and you use user.dat if it's user.dat in the first instance when you wrote to the file. In this case, that's fine, so it'll carry on with that. Right. I also want to do my user line. This is going to read a line of a file, so as text. Now I don't need the search criteria because of course it's contained in the text box. It's there. But if you did want to put it into a variable, search user as string equals txt user.text. Alright, so that will put that in there and we get password and so on. Right, so we're in a position now to while not sr user, no, that's not right, so sr user, which is the stream reader link into the file, while sr user dot end of stream. So while that's not end of stream, we want to read a line into sr user, into my user line. So my user line equals sr user dot read a line. So it'll read a line into my user line, and now I can say here, if, just move it up just up at the screen a bit, if my user line, and then I'm thinking, right, it's characters 1 to 10, so that function is called a mid function. But remember, outside of that, I want to trim any spaces off because that's going to cause an issue that it's 10 characters. So make sure you trim off the line, the spaces, and it's 10 characters. So remember, that's not start and stop point, that's position to start and how many characters. So let's have enough brackets there. So if rtrim mid, my user line 1, 10 equals txt user.text, then, all right, then we've found the user. Or if you have got the username into the search user, then you can just put search user here. All right. Now you're going to assume the user hasn't entered a load of spaces afterwards, but if you want to put in rtrim, just to make sure they haven't put in any spaces, then put that in there, it'll still work regardless. The only other thing to think about with username is to upper and lower if you're going to make it non-case sensitive. Passwords, I'd suggest you keep the case sensitivity, but usernames you might not. Allow them to enter it in block capitals and it still should find them if that's your intention. Okay, so if the user has been found, then I'll say user is found. Otherwise, it'll just go and get and read the next line, and it will look for that and look for that and linearly go through, and at the end of this, the program is complete down the bottom here. Okay, search complete. Right, so what we're now going to do, if that's been found, we're now going to say, right, well, let's go and have a look to see if the password matches what's expected. So let me just take a second so I don't type it this incorrectly. So my user line, which is the user line that we read, comma, this time though we're reading from 11 and 10 characters because the password starts at position 11. That's what we decided this in the session. So I'm going to say rtrim txt pass.text, only because I haven't read the username into a variable, the password into a variable, but you could do dim my password as string equals txt pass.text, but I haven't, so we'll have a look at it that way. Right, if the password matches, then we can say message box access allowed. All right, so we've had access allowed. Otherwise, at this stage, we can say message box password wrong. Try again. Or see admin. Okay, so there we are, that'll work that way. What am I getting there? Returns a string contained, right, so it's fine with rtrim. Not entire. If must end with endif. Oh yeah, I got the endif in there, but I didn't press end, so I need an endif to match with that if, and it'll do its pretty printing. Now it'll go back here. What should do? Yeah, well it would do. Am I missing anything else? No, I'm not. So there we are. At this point where access is allowed as well, I'd also do form1.show or any other form that I wanted it to go. And this form, which is login form, but we actually refer to ourselves as me. Oh, sorry, me.hide. Okay, so I'm going to run that now. Or in fact, I'll save it first of all. Let's run it now. It shouldn't take 2 seconds to do because I'm on a faster machine. So let's put glewis and we put abc1234. Now I know it'll find the user, but it won't, the password is wrong. So hopefully it'll tell me password wrong, try to see admin, and here, access allowed, and it's gone through, okay? So that's the first record, but that's cheating, that is the first record in the file. We also saw there was somebody else in there, so let's put A Lewis in there, and the password was XYZ. So I think it's that. No, we know the password's wrong. And let's get rid of that, and this one access allowed, so it's doing the search fine. The only other thing to check for is dim found as boolean. Look where I'm slotting that in, line 26, and I'm going to set it as false to start with, and if I find the user at this point, I'm going to set found to equal true, that I've found the user, right? I may get the password right or I may get it wrong, but at least I've found the user. And then outside of when the search is done, if found equals false, then I'm just going to say a message box, user does not exist. Not exist or not registered, we'll say. Please register or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to say that. Otherwise, we don't have to do anything else because if found is true, we've done and checked the password. So let's go and run that a second. And this time, let's just check that glewis works. ABC 1, 2, 3. I'm giving away my password there. So access allowed, everything fine. Stop that running. Let's run it now. This time we know that A Lewis worked, but this time B Smith has come in. ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, doesn't matter what the password is. Let's log in, and it's going to tell me user does not exist. It couldn't find it in the file. Okay, so if I just close up the gaps, just to finish off the video, you can see the code in full, and there's the end of the sub. So that is the linear search going through from first record to last record, or until it finds the record. Okay, we can say while not SR end of stream, until it's at the end of the file. If it does get the end of the file, found is still false.